Welcome to This Wild Journey, the podcast where your body, your brain, and your battle plan come together. If you're reeling from betrayal trauma, drowning in the chaos of divorce or custody court, feeling overwhelmed by post-trauma parenting, you are in the right place. We're here to untangle hard truths that bring clarity and courage so you can reclaim your power, protect your peace, and resolve trauma without reliving it. Let's get to work. Hey friends, welcome back to This Wild Journey. Today we are diving into a Disney movie that made half of us cry, the other half dance in our kitchens, and well, all of us feel something deep. This is the beginning of a series we are doing on popular family movies and how to spot red flags, recognize signs of trauma, and have really deep, life-changing discussions with your kids, your whole family. So today, we're talking about Encanto. This is one of two that we're going to do about Encanto. And today, I've got my favorite trauma educator, Coach Bren, right here with me. Bren, I know you love this movie, maybe as much as I do, maybe even more. Why don't you tell us, why does Encanto hit so many of us so hard?
Well, Encanto speaks the language of the senses. It's visually stunning. It's full of great music, but underneath the beauty, it shows a family living in quiet survival. And so,
I'm not sure how quiet they are, but yeah.
well, the survival part is quiet.
Yes,
It's under the surface. But each character is doing whatever they can to just hold things
under the surface.
That's actually one of the songs. But
I love that song.
Each character is really just doing whatever they can to just hold things together. And you can see it in how they act and how they move and how they relate to each other.
Yeah, so let's go there. Just dive right in. I mean, you've talked in many other episodes about how trauma doesn't exist in the event, it lives in the body, in the nervous system, and we carry it forward with us. How do we see that in Encanto?
Right.
In the movie?
Trauma isn't the moment itself. It's what happens inside you when your sense of safety shatters. And unless that gets resolved, your system can stay stuck in protection mode even long after the threat's gone. And in Encanto, each family member responds in a different way, each one reflecting a survival pattern. So Luisa takes on too much, always in go mode, carrying everything until she breaks. And Isabella performs perfection, staying small and acceptable to keep the peace. Bruno just disappears. He hides because being seen feels too dangerous. Peppa's emotions spill all over. She tries to stay calm, but the storm is always just beneath the surface. And Mirabel, she sees the truth, but she gets dismissed for even naming it.
Yeah, and that's that moment when the casita starts to crack. It's like this visual metaphor for what's happening inside the family. I have to say, I was able to relate to something from almost every character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just
absolutely.
One. And I really happen to love Bruno's character because I feel like he's the autistic neurodivergent one who just gets erased, but he's there on the other side of the walls.
Yeah.
Just as close as he can get without being perceived. Anyway, that's probably a whole different episode on neurodivergence. Maybe we should come back to that. If you're listening and you'd like us to come back to that, let us know. But when the casita starts to crack, the system itself, the whole system, is crumbling under the pressure that everyone is feeling.
And as far as Bruno, same. But also Mirabel, because Mirabel notices the patterns. She's the truth seeker, the truth teller. But Mirabel can feel that something's wrong, but she gets gaslit. She's told she's just imagining it.
Right.
And she senses the strain before anyone else is willing to admit it. And when she speaks up, she's not met with curiosity. She's treated like she's the problem. And that's a story so many
Mhm.
survivors know. You feel the tension, you speak the truth, and everyone just says you're overreacting. Stop making waves. Just be grateful.
Or we don't talk about Bruno. I mean, the song is catchy, but the message underneath is all about
Yeah.
silence and shame. It reminds me of just how much grief and fear and unprocessed trauma, they don't disappear. They just go underground, behind the walls, behind the facade. And then they show up in our
Yep,
bodies.
exactly. It's a survival strategy. If we don't talk about it, maybe it'll go away. But what doesn't get named gets buried. And what gets buried still shows up in tension, illness, anxiety, exhaustion. It doesn't stay silent. You can hear it in Luisa's song, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can't be of service. Now, that's not just a lyric, that's what it feels like when your nervous system links your worth to how much you carry or fix or achieve.
One of the things that I tell clients so often is that what you
Mm,
bury, you marry. If you shove it down underneath, you're married to it for as long as it stays
mm,
stuffed, and it will start to rot under the surface. And the poison from that, it will leak underground and start to come up to the surface underground and sideways, like a network of gopher holes and tunnels just pops up everywhere else, even though you think you've buried it. So I really want listeners to catch that. If your value has been tied to how much you do or carry or fix, then you're going to be clinging to whatever trauma is related to these things. And one of the results of that is that resting no longer feels relaxing, it feels
yeah,
dangerous.
exactly.
It feels like you're at
Yeah,
risk.
and it could feel like a failure. Um, but
Yeah,
really, it's your body just trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. And if love and belonging have always depended on performance, then slowing down can feel like the floor might drop out. And that's why this stuff matters. If we don't name those patterns, we end up passing them down silently and automatically, even when we don't want to.
exactly. And they will continue to get passed down from generation to generation until someone like Mirabel is able to see it and begin to name it. And then the structure starts
Mm-hmm.
to crack. So, talk to me about the nervous system. Can you break it down for the parent who's listening and who's thinking, oh my goodness, I see this. I want to stop this. I am Mirabel. I see
Mm,
the problems and everything's fracturing. How do I help my kids, self, not
mm.
pass this on? I want to break out of this cycle. What does this parent need to do?
Think of your nervous system like your body's internal radar. Okay. It's constantly scanning for
Okay.
cues. Am I safe? Can I let down my guard? Or do I need to stay alert? When your body feels safe, your nervous system feels safe, it opens up and you can connect and laugh and play and create. But when something feels off, your nervous system shifts into protection mode and you might lash out or try to fix everything or control everything. That's fight. Or you could rush to escape or stay busy or outrun the stress. That's flight. Or you could shut down, go numb, or mentally check out. That's freeze. Or you could over accommodate just to stay liked or feel safer. That's fawn. Each of the Madrigals is stuck in one of those trauma responses, not because they're flawed, but because they reflect real patterns we see in real families when they're stressed, when they're under a lot of toxic stress. And the healing begins when they
Mhm.
finally start seeing each other's pain and not just their performance.
But the healing starts, right, when they finally start seeing each other, not for what they can do, but seeing how much each other has been
Mm.
carrying. And we see that actually in the film. Now, not in every family does this actually get seen and handled well, but I loved how Encanto handled this because there's this point when Abuela finally sees what she's done and owns her fear.
Yes. When Abuela finally recognizes the fear she's been, operating from and how it has shaped everyone else, it cracks something open. Bruno comes back, and the truth that they tried to silence becomes the key to healing. And Mirabel is finally seen,
Yeah,
and the family gets a chance to begin again, not from pressure or perfection, but from honesty, authenticity, and genuine care. The house collapses, but the family
right.
grows stronger because now they're building on truth and not fear.
So, so good. I, I think it's important to point out that the house does collapse. The system cracks wide open, it crumbles, it falls to the ground, and sometimes that has to happen for things to heal. I mean, that's another thing we could talk about a whole lot is when you're the person who is the ones seeing this stuff and talking about it like
Mhm.
Mirabel did. It can be really terrifying when everything starts to crumble and crack, and there can be people in your family system who do not want that to happen.
Absolutely.
But, we're gonna get deeper into more in the next episode because we're doing 2 episodes on
Mhm.
Encanto right now. And next time, you're interviewing me, and we're gonna go all in on those deeper relational dynamics, the control and manipulation and entitlement and unspoken pressure, and talk about what happens when survival strategies become family
And
norm.
y'all do not want to miss that. We're naming the things a lot of us felt growing up, but just didn't have the words for. And we're pulling the curtain all the way back on the unhealthy patterns you can now spot in Encanto and maybe even in your own story.
And we're showing how to start writing a news story from the inside out. Speaking of inside out, we're going to be doing a series on that too after we do Encanto. But one thing at a time. Hey, before you go, want to turn your next movie night into a powerful tool for emotional growth for yourself and your kids? Don't forget to download our free one sheet, Family Movie Night Encanto, a simple, heartfelt, trauma informed discussion guide for all ages. It helps you talk with your whole family about trauma, spot harmful relationship patterns, and build healthier emotional safety, all through the stories and the films that your family already loves. Get yours, download it free at the link in the show notes below. All right, friends, if this episode gave you language for something you felt that maybe you couldn't name or helped you see your story in a new way, would you do us a favor? Share this with a friend. Leave us a review with your thoughts. And thank you for being part of this wild journey. You do not have to travel this wild journey alone. We will see you next time for part 2. Brought to you by Wilderness to Wild. www.thiswildjourneypodcast.com.